are living in the very heart of a colossal illusion. The glowing pieces of glass we carry in our pockets, the silent machines resting on our desks, and the invisible networks binding us together. We mistake them for simple tools to navigate the world. We believe we have absolute control over them. We press a button and a screen illuminates. We type a word and information unfolds before us. The thought that we are the masters of the machine makes us feel safe. For thousands of years, this was indeed the truth. A hammer was meant to drive a nail, a wheel to cross distances, a sling to hunt. The tools of the old world were mere extensions of our muscles and bones. We commanded, they simply obeyed. When we picked up a carved stone or a piece of wood, that object didn't dictate how we should view the world. A tool was just a tool, and humanity stood outside of it. But now, the game has changed. The flawless technological infrastructure surrounding us today is not an ordinary tool. It is not an extension of our muscles. It is a massive filter imposed over our minds, our perception, and our reality. An invisible yet all-encompassing framework. Once this framework settles before our eyes, the world can never return to its former shape. Think about it. When we look at a forest through this new framework, what do we see? In the past, we would feel the light filtering through the branches, the silent waiting of roots deep in the soil, the grand and inexplicable mystery of existence. A tree was just a tree, standing on its own, serving no purpose, a miracle simply because it existed. But now, looking through the sharp and calculating filter of the modern mind, the forest is no longer a forest. It is merely a timber reserve, waiting to be cut, transported, and sold. When we look at a river, we no longer see the wild euphoria of the water. We calculate the turbines it can turn and the potential energy it can generate. When we look at a mountain, instead of feeling small before its majesty, we see the mineral reserves to be extracted from its core. Within this framework, everything in the world, absolutely everything, uses its sanctity and its mystery. Every existing object turns into a raw material, waiting to be processed, measured, stockpiled, and eventually consumed. We thought we created this flawless language to conquer the world and bring nature under our control. We thought by making everything measurable, countable, and predictable, we would escape the darkness. But the terrifying truth we overlooked was this. While we were looking at the world through this technological lens, the lens itself hijacked our way of understanding the world. The machine reprogrammed the mind of its master in its own image. And the real tragedy, the dark border where our existential collapse begins, confronts us exactly at this point. Because that insatiable desire for calculation, which reduces everything to a spare part with a shelf life, a resource to be stored, did not stop at mountains, rivers, and forests. That ruthless and cold perspective, which sees the forest as timber and the river as electricity, quietly shifted its direction. The framework slowly turned and set its eyes upon us. We are no longer outside this massive system. And humanity, which thought it had bent nature to its will, now stands naked before the very machine it created.
That rational, calculating, insatiable perspective, the one that sees mountains as mines and rivers as energy sources, finally did the inevitable. The framework changed its direction, and it locked onto us, staring directly into our eyes. That relentless conquest we once applied to nature, that desire to turn everything into a useful resource, is now operating with flawless elegance to devour us. No longer is it just the Earth. We, the inhabitants of the Earth, are now the raw materials of a massive production line, of an endless calculating machine. Stop and think. Who are we in the eyes of the system? Are we unique beings with souls, who suffer, who live for our joys, who carry stories? Are we the masters of our own fate, the singular miracles at the center of the universe? No. Looking through this massive and silent framework, we are merely human resources waiting to be measured, classified, and processed. Notice how honest, yet how brutal the words are. Human resources, just like a water source, just like a coal bed, a reserve to be used, consumed, its yield calculated, and replaced when depleted. But the slavery of the modern age did not come with the crude chains of ancient times. There are no whips, no shackles, no stone walls. Our new cage is transparent, glowing, and highly inviting. Every day, by our own volition, we step in front of those glowing screens. Every click, every scroll, every photo we like, every video we watch, even the number of seconds we let our eyes linger on a page, all of it, absolutely all of it, is silently harvested. Our smile is merely an engagement metric in the eyes of the system. Our anger is the perfect fuel to spin the gears of the algorithms faster. Our fears are statistics that determine what will be sold to us. Even those desperate moments when we wake up at midnight and stare at the screen in insomnia are nothing more than being the target audience for an ad shown in the dark. While we live our flesh and blood lives, the system creates our invisible shadows, our digital twins, and those shadows are turned into an endless cycle of profit inside massive servers. Once, the inner world of a human being was an impenetrable fortress. Our thoughts, our secrets, and our desires belonged only to us. Yet now, we have thrown the gates of that fortress wide open with our own hands. The mystery and serendipity and poetry of life are shattered and destroyed in that massive data mine. Love is reduced to the matching probabilities of complex algorithms, friendship to the connection density of digital networks, success to the number of likes. Everything must be countable, because anything that cannot be measured is deemed non-existent by the system. We are no longer stories seeking meaning within this endless flow. The system sees us as spare parts, to be pulled from the warehouse when needed, processed, optimized, and cast aside when our time expires. We are nothing more than a pile of flesh reduced to numbers, a predictable data set. But the most terrifying part is this. If the enemy exploiting us were on the outside, a cruel dictator or a merciless king, we could rebel against him. We could point at him. We could unite against him. But this time, the warden and the prisoner breathe in the same body. And the system struck us at our weakest point, through that insatiable desire we hold for ourselves. The tyrants of the old world used to chain bodies. People were forced to work in fields, in mines, under the sun at the crack of a whip. In those dark ages, the slave knew he was a slave, and the master felt no need to hide his mastery. The enemy was outside. He could be seen, hated, and when the time came, rebelled against. But today, the architecture of our flawless cage is vastly different. Today, there is no warden standing over us. There is no master shouting work, no one striking our backs. Because modern power is not primitive enough to exert physical force. It found a much more terrifying and brilliant method. It planted the tyranny inside our own minds. We are no longer helpless victims exploited from the outside. We are our own voluntary wardens, our own ruthless bosses. The system does not tell us to be a slave. The system whispers to us, self-actualize, unleash your potential, be your best version, push your limits. And we, captivated by the magic of these bright lies, begin to manage our own souls and bodies as if they were a corporation. Every morning when we wake up, that invisible whip cracks inside our brains. Optimize, the voice says. Manage your time. Be more productive. Outperform your rivals. Learn more. Look fitter. Earn more. We subject ourselves to an endless performance test. Think of that toxic guilt that never leaves us, even in our moments of rest. That gnawing restlessness we feel in those rare moments when we stand doing nothing, just staring into the void. Because the system has taught us this, wasted time is unprocessed data. For every second you are not producing, you are losing value. This is why we are exhausted. But it is not the exhaustion of our bodies that consumes us. It is the relentless gnawing of our soul by its own self. As we try to function continuously like a machine, we are actually destroying the deepest, most human aspects of our existence. A machine does not need rest. It only needs maintenance so it can run more efficiently. We too have turned sleep, holidays, even sports into mere tools to recharge our batteries just so we can spin the gears faster the next day. Even our rest has become part of the production. Let us turn and ask ourselves, when was the last time we enjoyed a completely useless moment without feeling guilty? When was the last time we felt the pure, inexplicable weight of existing just because we were standing there with absolutely nothing to prove to anyone? Instead, under the guise of self-improvement, we tear ourselves apart. We run in an endless cycle of self-exploitation just to polish our fake and flawless showcases on social media. And the worst part is, we mistake this exhaustion for success. We take pride in our burnout, in how busy we are. Among the masses staring at screens until they are drained, working themselves into oblivion, we applaud our catastrophe. We are prisoners who voluntarily polish our chains, dancing to the sound they make. Everything we have has been measured, every second has been calculated, every moment has been optimized. But what is left? The only thing left is that massive void, and in that cold world where everything is calculable, something is slowly dying. That great mystery that cannot be seen, cannot be expressed in numbers, and cannot fit onto screens, is slipping through our fingers.
In a world where everything is measurable, the unmeasurable quietly dies. As we settle into a massive calculating machine, we leave behind not only our freedom, we also leave behind the deepest, darkest, and most poetic aspect of our existence. Because the technological framework recognizes only clarity, certainty, and efficiency. But humanity is not clear. Humanity is not certain. A human being cannot be solved like an equation. Think about it. What are the most meaningful, most transformative, most shattering moments in our lives? Is it that indescribable second when our eyes suddenly lock with a stranger's? Is it that uncaused melancholy awakening within us as an autumn wind hits our face? or that chilling silence at midnight, lost in an utterly useless thought, feeling our own smallness beneath the stars. These moments have no efficiency. They have no profit, no statistical value. In the eyes of a machine, they are merely wasted energy. The system's algorithms cannot read, code, or sell these moments. That is why the modern world built a flawless machine of distraction to destroy them. Because mystery is the system's greatest enemy. Mystery is the unpredictable, and an unpredictable human is an uncontrollable human. Therefore, everything must become transparent. Every desire must be reduced to a search engine history, every fear to a clicking habit, every relationship to a match probability. The wild, dangerous, and inexplicable nature of love has turned into a safe cost-benefit calculation among flawless profiles chosen for us by algorithms. Serendipity is dead. Surprises have surrendered to personalized recommendations. The machine knows what we will watch, who we will love, and how we will feel long before we do. We have lost ourselves in our own digital echo chambers, in that endless gallery of mirrors where we only see our own reflection. We are trapped inside our digital tribes who like the same things, get angry at the same things, consume the same things as we do. We forgot how to breathe the uncanny but real air of the outside. We have lost the great, frightening poetry of life. And do you know what remains? A mass that constantly feels something but experiences nothing deeply. That is constantly connected but cannot truly bond with anyone. Drowning in a massive ocean of information, yet completely deprived of wisdom. We were the children of that ancient, deep, and dark forest. Now, under fluorescent lights, before glowing screens, we have turned into anesthetized shadows. But is this an absolute end? When the cold, calculating gears of the system swallow everything, will nothing be left of us, of that which is inexplicable? Are we condemned to rot merely as numbers in this colossal data warehouse? Is there no way out from this flawless cage that turns mountains into mines, rivers into energy, and us into data? Perhaps the escape does not begin with breaking the bars of the cage, but by remembering how to look through them. Perhaps the resistance is much quieter and much deeper than we ever imagined. When we understand the workings of this colossal machine, when we confront that cold gaze which sees the forest as timber and humans as data, the first emotion that fills us is usually despair. How can we escape, we ask ourselves? How can we hide from a system so vast, so pervasive? We think of smashing our devices and fleeing to the woods, pulling the plug and fading away completely. But this is just another illusion. Ignoring technology, pretending we haven't invented it, does not make us free. It only exiles us from the world we ourselves created. True resistance is not breaking the machine. True resistance is making it impossible for the machine to read us, to calculate us. If the only language the system speaks is efficiency and optimization, if it wants to turn our every second into a measurable value, then the most revolutionary act we can perform is having the courage to be useless. Yes, you heard that right. Being useless. To engage in an act expecting no benefit, aiming for no outcome. To walk simply for the sake of walking, without letting a pedometer app record how many calories you burned. To read a poem, not so it teaches you something, but just to feel the words suspended in the air. To look at a landscape, not to imprison it in a digital archive and seek validation from others, but merely to lose yourself in the massive indifference of that moment. The framework wants to see everything as a resource. Resisting it means allowing the world to be enchanted once again. It means making the tree a tree again, the river a river, and time again. To feel time not as a raw material to be sliced and sold, but as the enigmatic ocean in which we swim. The system wants to predict your every reaction, your every anger, your every desire. Algorithms claim to know who you are better than you do. Prove them wrong. Be unpredictable. Step outside those flawless profiles, those digital echo chambers presented to you. Read a book no one expects you to read. Listen to music you don't understand. Get lost. Do not let your digital shadow make decisions for you. Embrace your own inner contradictions, your flaws, and your unilluminable darkness. Because what the machine fears the most is an undefinable human. We are not merely datasets flickering behind screens. We are the children of those ancient forests, those deep rivers, and the inexplicable sky. Within us there is a silence, a mystery that no algorithm can solve, no database can store. And that mystery is our final stronghold. The next time you look at that glowing piece of glass in your hand, remember that it is not just a tool, but a framework imposed upon you to make sense of the world. And then look outside that framework. Look at the sky, the slow passage of the clouds, the trembling of a leaf in the wind. Demand nothing from them. Do not measure them. Just let them be there. And you too, just be there. Not as data, not as a raw material. Simply as a human being.